Let us listen to what you don't do when you are listening. It's important that you don't ignore people. It is the most pathetic thing that you can do to a person. You're going to kill that person. That person is going to completely shut down. He's not going to speak anymore. If you are going to ignore people, don't have prejudice against things. Listen. When you listen, don't have those predetermined things that this is like this is like that, this person is like this. It's not going to really help you in really listening to people. Don't be selective. Don't pick out people. Don't pick out the way selective. Basically, we are basically selective listeners. Let me tell you, most human beings are selective listeners because they will listen to exactly what they want to listen. Be very clear about it, and let's not be selective in that. Let's listen to what is actually being said and not what I want to listen to. Interrupt. You must have experienced this, that somebody is trying to talk to you about their problem and you already have an answer, and there is a big, huge tendency for you to interrupt and give them the answer. Don't interrupt. And especially if you are listening to a person who's emotionally disturbed, he's charged, and you're trying to solve some problem, you're trying to conflict management, then you have to listen, because conflict management requires massive listening skills. And if you interrupt that person, you had it. It will take a longer time, it will drain your energy, because that person who's being interrupted, he gets 10 times more irritated, as you will make him more angry than necessary. So learn not to interrupt. There are ways and means how you can foster the conversation, but don't interrupt. Addition. We are masters in addition, adding meaning to life. To everything that we say, we have to add something. Then that's what Chinese whisper is all about. You will interpret it the way you want to interpret it, because that's what it is important to you. That's the way you think. The word honesty has a central meaning for it. But honesty for you and me might be completely different. Are you getting? So don't add meaning to what is being said to you. Listen to it the way it is supposed to be said. What is being said to you, right? No additions, no subtraction. And now you are understanding why listening is so challenging. Judging, it is as good as having prejudice, being selective. No judging, and we are masters in judging, don't you? We have a double PhD in judging. Judgment can be kept aside when you have to listen, because that's when the person really feels heard. Okay? There is a tendency to react, because if you are handling conflict and there is an emotional discharge from the other side, you are also bound to get angry, you are also bound to get emotional, and your tendency will be to react. You will have to find out ways and means how not to react. It's no for listening, no reactions while listening. Ego is the killer in conversations. Let's not listen through ego. Why should I listen to this person? You're gone. And as a leader, you just can't have that. You just can't manage it. You just cannot do it. So keep your ego aside when you're listening. And preoccupation. It's a killer in conversations. I'm sure it is like as being ignored. I'm sure you have had experiences when you have walked into the shop, and for 30 seconds nobody listened to you. Nobody even bothered that you are there in the shop. Tell me, guys, have you ever bought from that shop? You walked out of the shop, haven't you? Because people were preoccupied in what they were doing. Now, they may be doing something which is important to them, but that's okay. You felt completely ignored because of their preoccupation. So these are the things that you should not do when you are going to listen. Don't ignore, no prejudice, don't be selective, don't be a selective listener at all, for sure. Don't interrupt, don't add meaning, listen to whatever is being really said to you. Judging is out of question. Reacting, you have to restrain yourself from reacting. No ego in conversations, no ego in communication, no ego. You can take your ego back when you completed the conversation, no issues about that. But during the conversation, keep your ego aside and no preoccupation. Now that we have seen things about not listening, what I should do, what the don't do's about listening, there are types of listening. First is ignore. Pretend to listen, not really. There is no heart and soul. Ignoring is the worst thing when you are not even listening to somebody. Pretend is when I'm pretending to listen, but my heart, my mind, nothing is there. You're just making a fool out of that person. And people will get it, by the way, that you're pretending to listen. Selective listeners, we are absolutely selective listeners, and it is a very, very killing way of, it kills relationships because you choose what you listen to. Okay. Then we have active listening and empathetic listening. Now, these things we need to avoid, these two things we need to practice. If you want to be a listening leader, you have to jump high up to the active and empathetic level and learn how not to ignore, not to pretend, and not to be selective in our listening.